And here's your host, Goody.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gavin with Goody podcast. I'm your host, Goody. Welcome to episode 3. Today's special guest, my very good friend and oldest friend, Jim. Thank you for opening up your house to us here for the podcast. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime. So like I said, this is my good friend Jim. He's my best friend. We know each other for a long time. I'll have him kind of introduce himself, and then we're going to do, the norm. We'll talk all about, our friendship. We'll talk about all sorts of different things, his career paths, everything like that. We're going to have a very nice conversation today on the podcast. So go ahead, Jim. Let us know a little bit about yourself.
So most people know me nowadays by James Paul. So again, I'm a husband, father, musician, fellow podcaster, I guess. And I work construction for my full-time job. I'm a project manager, managing some projects out in Boston. But just a regular dude.
Yeah, dude. Regular dude, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff there. Like he said, locally famous James Paul.
Not famous. Nobody knows who I am.
So if you're listening to this from the area, yes, this is the James Paul from James Paul Band. But we'll start off with how it all started. So back in the 4th grade,
right,
I had the privilege and the honor of playing youth football with my friend James here, and we did play football for a while. We didn't really, as Jim will probably recall, we didn't really hit it off too well. I am notorious for being known to not like the name Andy. It has grown legs in recent years in my adult life, but back then I was very adamant that I did not want to be called Andy. And like all good friends and best friends, James was nice enough to call me Andy, and then he was immediately threatened.
I know. It was very, very quick.
Immediately threatened by me as a young lad in 4th grade.
I do love that your coworkers now call it you Andy, as there's no Andrew, it's only Andy.
Yeah,
love that. Do you get a kick out of it?
It is something that has kind of, like I said, grown legs, and I've grown accustomed to it, even though it's still not my favorite. But it's kind of grown on me a little bit. But
I think we hit it off more middle school when we had Miss Trumbull was our teacher for communications in class. We knew each other since the 4th grade, and we're cordial. But I think in the middle school we became best friends, and that proceeded through high school until today. So I mean, we've been hanging out since the 4th grade, but I would say best friends probably since like middle school.
Yeah,
6th grade or something like that.
That was because like Jim said, we didn't have in elementary school we didn't have like any classes together.
We went to different schools.
Yeah, I think we were in different schools.
You were at East Street, right?
I was at East Street.
Yeah, I went. My house moved around a lot in Ludlow. I went to every school in Ludlow before that was a thing.
Yeah. So
my kindergarten was at Veterans Park. 1st grade was at East Street. Then 2nd through 3rd was at Chapin. Then went back to Veterans Park. So I was kind of everywhere.
Yeah, you were a journeyman of the elementary schools
in town. And Ludlow.
So we did, like you said, in middle school we kind of had that opportunity. We knew each other through football, and then, like you said, we did have a couple of classes together. And from there we did grow a friendship that's lasted our lifetime.
Yeah.
And there has been times where it is, we've had our ups and downs, obviously, as friends, and it's the younger years, obviously, lots of great memories of, hanging out, whether that's, at your house or my house, particularly your house, playing, Madden and NCAA football on the PlayStation.
Till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Those times were always good times. And then, my house, like, wrestling with all the wrestle buddies and things like that, and flag football. Well, not flag football, tackle football games.
Yeah,
in the snow.
I used to bring my PlayStation over and we do Madden at your house. Whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You didn't have a system until what, high school?
Oh, man, it was later than that. I don't think I had a system until college.
I know. You didn't have cable either.
Didn't have cable either. Yeah,
yeah.
And we were well off. All right, we just didn't have these things.
No, that's all right. But it was. I remember you come to my house and we would, listen to Disturbed and playing PlayStation until 2:00 in the morning or whatever the music was at the time. But it was always heavier music. Yeah. And then we would hang out and do our seasons, create players, and then do franchise modes, and then play hockey. We did that for a while too.
Yeah, we were doing what was that game on Hits?
Yeah,
remember that one that was on
NHL,
the Xbox? Yeah.
NHL Hits, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was like the Blitz of hockey.
Yeah. It was a fun game. It was cool. Playing those kind of things, and we created the Lions football team. We'd create our own team and create pretty much everybody on our team when we played youth football. That was pretty cool too. But create your dad as a linebacker. Remember that? It was funny.
Yeah.
Doing Fresca shots in your basement.
Fresca shot.
Yeah, at 8 years old or whatever it was, or now 10 years old it was. Yeah.
Yeah, Fresca's a soda, so let's not get crazy over here. But
I remember that stuff. It was fun.
But it was good times, and we were lucky enough that in those years that we were able to spend a lot of time together, including multiple vacations to all sorts of different places. Family was big on doing a vacation in July, big on doing a vacation in August. Over the summer, we spent countless, summers in Lake George, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire. We were all over the place. And again, I was lucky enough that my parents were, cool with, my best bud coming with me, and we had a lot of good times. What would be your favorite? We'll just start with basic. What's your favorite place that we went to?
The one that stands out the most was probably either the King Phillips Campground in Lake George, New York. That was a lot of fun doing the what's that place next door called again?
Magic Forest.
Magic Forest was always a treat. I remember going with your sister or you and we saw the swimming horse or the diving horse.
Yeah, the diving horse. That was the thing before,
everything was a dinosaur around the train ride. But no, it was definitely interesting doing that. And then it was always fun. And then we went downtown Lake George. I think we actually took a boat out one time. We swam in the lake. It was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to downtown fireworks on Thursdays.
Thursday fireworks. Yeah.
So that was cool. And then the one in Connecticut near the casino was also a pretty cool campground. We could go fishing in the pond, hit the pool. Then we went
oh yeah, that was
horseshoes.
Highland Orchards.
Yeah.
Highland Orchards.
You know that though? We would play horseshoes with your parents.
Yes.
There's always activities going on there.
Yeah, it's now. If it's still around, towards the end, it was KOA, so it was bought out by Campground of America. But we would frequent that place. I mean, it's not that far away from here. The arcade, obviously.
The pool table.
Pool tables.
Yeah.
Pool table, Mortal Kombat.
We played that a lot. I mean, I remember bringing change to go play arcade games.
Yep. Change to play arcade games and Michigan Rummy.
That's right, that too.
You bring in your pennies for Michigan Rummy.
That's right. That was always fun though. You know what I mean? And I was always thankful that your parents brought me on those vacations and gave me a childhood vacation. Because my mom's a single mom, so for a lot of my childhood, so we didn't do a lot of those things. So it was cool to come on.
Yeah, man, and we were happy to have you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Eating that teriyaki chicken.
Oh, your favorite teriyaki chicken.
Mom, had ranch dressing for me for all the vegetables I didn't like.
For all your green bean needs.
Green beans are so gross. But yeah, it was cool.
So we were Lake George, New York. Now I still go there with my family, and it's changed, but a lot is still the same. Magic Forest is now like Magic Forest / Dinosaur Adventure Lake George Expedition. I think that's what it's called now.
Wow!
And it's like 2 parks, and one of it's like a whole dinosaur experience.
Is it bigger now?
No, it's the
same thing?
It's the same thing, just
Oh,
different themes. I want to say where like they had a safari ride, right? That little wood area down there with the path. There was now like a dinosaur walk through. Like I think you walk around. I haven't been there. I say I haven't been there in a long time, but I guess that's probably like an understatement. I think the last time we went there, we were like, what, 17 or 18 years old? We were, and back then we were way too old to be there.
It was something new we could walk to because the campground was across the street from it, so you could just walk over. So it was just something to do for the day, and we made the best of it and had some fun.
You know, nothing says a good time like riding the Tilt-A-Whirl for 25 minutes straight.
Oh God. I was so sick.
Because our fantastic carny friend was like, "Oh, one more time," and we're like, "No more, please stop."
Yeah, that was rough. I'm not great on rides as it is, but that was rough.
Yeah, it was.
Remember the Tomahawk at like Six Flags?
Yep,
like,
Tomahawk. Yep.
That thing always made me sick, and you'd love to go on that thing over and over again.
Now, man, I can't even do. We've been going again. We go up to Maine in July with my family, and my oldest son, has a new like love for amusement park rides. So he would be like anything he could get on, he wanted to go on, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go on. So we go on this. There's a ride there that has many names, and Jim will probably understand this when I mention a few of the names. But there's a ride there. It's called the Thunderbolt, and it is also goes by the name the bobsleds, the Kon-Tiki at Six Flags, and the Rock and Roll Express at Great Escape. So this ride is basically you're sitting in the car, and it just goes around in a circle. And it goes like there's like an incline and a decline, and you're just in a circle. All these cars are like right behind each other.
Yeah.
And you're just going around and around.
The punch thing. And
then they stop it, and they go, "Get ready, because we're going backwards." So now we're going backwards, and I'm in the ride with my son, and I'm like holding on to him for dear life because I'm afraid he's going to fly out of the car, even though he's not going to. But I'm like latched onto him, and now we're going backwards. I'm like, I got to stay focused, right? So I'm looking straight ahead, and my wife is like off there just waving and smiling, and I can't even look over there because the minute I turn my head to look, I'm like, oh God, and I'm getting seasick on the Thunderbolt.
My in-laws took us to Busch Gardens when Jagger was like 2 or 3, so Izzy was like 4 or 5, whatever the time frame was. And anyway, we were at Busch Gardens, and my in-laws bought us these like passes so you can go on like the fast passes and stuff for all the bigger rides there. And I remember like I haven't been on an amusement park in a long time, so how am I going to react to these roller coasters and stuff? And anyway, I remember I went on every single ride with my kids that they were allowed to because they were so small. So Izzy got to go on more than Jagger did. And if the kids couldn't go, my in-laws made me and my wife go on all the roller coasters. And I remember like I'm like in line, I'm like, can we just like sneak out, because I don't really want to do this one because it had like a Superman decline down. Like I don't know, I could do that when I was 18. I don't know if I can do that now. And anyway, that we left, like we were there at 8 o'clock when they opened. I think we're out of there by 1 o'clock. I was so done with going up and down, side to side, backwards. It's just not. It was not for me being an adult. It just makes you feel sick. Ugh, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It was like, when I was younger, it was...
We went everything.
Yeah, it was not a problem. Like, oh, yeah,
we would sit all the way in the back of Superman. Yeah. The worst spot you could sit in Six Flags, because you're going down, you're the last ones to go down, so you get the whole decline there, and man,
you get all the G's, all the G-force.
Your butt would come off the seat. You're like literally held in by a seatbelt, man.
Yeah, it is... Yeah, it's definitely different. Your body changes, and next thing you know...
Do you feel like when you get older, you're like, I'm afraid of heights. I was never afraid of heights as a kid. I think now, like, I'm petrified of being up high. Does that happen to you at all?
I'm going to say, I mean, obviously, as a firefighter, you kind of have to get over it, but I'm not the most comfortable with heights. I'm not scared of heights, but I when I was younger, I used to be like fearless of it. Like I would fly up a ladder, jump off like a tree, jump into a hole, whatever. Like I would do that. Now I'm like more cautious.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily. I think maybe it is just over time, as you get older. And this is probably just nonsense that I'm about to spew out, but as you get older, I think you just become more aware of things. Like when you're young, you're
naive.
Yeah, you don't know. Oh, if I climb this thing, all you're thinking about is like I'm going to climb this thing. I'm going to jump off into the pool, whatever.
Yeah.
But now you're older. You're like, well, I'm going to climb this thing. If I go too fast, I'm going to slip. I might fall. Next thing you know, I'm out of work. Then I'm going to pay my bills. And
I had a job in downtown Springfield where we're remodeling the Chestnut Tower, which is like 36 floors. And I had to take pictures for the owner. I was an owner's rep, so I was representing the owner, going in there and making sure the construction was being done properly, so we could document everything, from the GC. So I was walking into the 32nd floor, and I had to take pictures of the caulking of the windows, or when they remove the windows, and take pictures of the openings. And I remember going to the edge, and I'm like, and there, you're strapped, you're in a harness, and you're strapped just in case you fall out the window, because they're fully windows from floor to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I remember walking to there, and my legs kept like wobbling and shaking. As closer I got, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it. And I would just pay the glazers who did the windows coffees to take the pictures for me, because I realized pretty quickly that anything above the third or fourth floor, I couldn't be exposed to that height. Looking down, it's like that just makes you feel like you could pass out. So I feel like now going on to Superman, I probably wouldn't be as good, because I feel like the height thing would definitely kill me. Going up there going, oh no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be one of those guys that just passes out when you're in the car, but
And you're just like, yes.
Yeah. we used to do it all the time. I mean,
yeah.
But I don't think I can do it anymore. I think I'm out.
It's it is very unsettling. I mean, any sort of height is unsettling, because it's tough, because you can't really control your situation unless you're like different. It's like a different scenario, right? So like if you're up in like a bucket, right, on a ladder truck or whatever, you're like, at least you have that. So when you're up in the air, you're like, oh, this is a nice view. But like when you're on like you said, you're on like the 32nd floor, and there's a big giant opening, and you're finding yourself like getting close to the window, and you're like, nah, I'm all set, right? Because that's exactly how, and that also reminds me of I don't think you were on this trip, but we went to New Hampshire, and we went to the top of Mount Washington, and my mother, who is deathly afraid of heights.
So why would she do that trip in the first place?
So, because it's New Hampshire. And it's an experience.
No, that's cool.
So she's like terrified of heights. And we were up there, my sister and I, we were younger. So my sister and I are up there with my parents, and there's like this little opening, and you can walk out onto this, basically a ledge. And wow, you are like way up there. Like we're talking tens of thousands of feet up, right? And we get to the edge, and my mom like has a full-blown panic attack, and she's like, get away from the edge, and we're like, and Amber and I were like, oh, well, that's not that bad. And then I went close to the edge over there, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna turn around. Plus, like, you're way up there, and like the wind is like insane. So if like there's any place that you're gonna like get blown away,
that's the spot.
that would be it.
Where did we go? Where we like hiked? We hiked a trail that was on the mountains. And we got to like a couple like things where there's like little bridges. There's like little bridges we went over. And I remember your mom was like definitely afraid of that too. And she's like, Jimmy, hold on to me, or something. Or she held on to
hold
you.
the rail. Hold the rail.
Hold the rail. She'd hold on to us to dear life. And
I want to say that was.
It was just the six of us with your mom and dad. Oh, the four of us. I don't think your sister was there.
I want to say it was New Hampshire.
I think
Amber was there, because we have the picture. Remember, we have the picture.
Oh, that's right.
Like I'm wearing the Optimus Prime shirt, doing like and you have like Cowboys get up on, so nothing's changed. But
no, still the same guy.
But yeah, I want to say that was New Hampshire.
Was that Mount Washington?
Polar Caves.
Oh, maybe it's what it was. Yeah, I just know we were high up, and I remember she was nervous about it. And
Yeah.
I heard the story about you guys at TD Garden when you guys had tickets all the way up.
Oh
and then,
my God, yeah.
And they gave her better seats.
Yeah, she got courtside seats.
Yeah.
And then we ended up leaving anyways, but that's a whole nother story. I'll talk if Amber ever decides to come on the podcast, we'll have a conversation about that.
That's awesome though.
Because yeah, so we were. I want to say that was the Polar Caves. We got there and they do there's like a chat chasm. I don't know. I think that I want to say it was the Polar Caves because then you can walk through the. I get these ones mixed up, but there's basically you could walk through where all these water had wore out all these pathways. So you walk through in between two. It's a chasm. That's what it's called, or a chasm, whatever.
I don't know.
Don't hate me for my pronunciation of these things, but
Nice.
but you walk down these paths. They have these wooden deck walks that you can walk down, and then you get to lookout areas, and you can look out onto the water. There's a river that still goes through it. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I want to say it's Polar Caves. Again, do not quote me on that.
What was your favorite spot going?
I too loved Lake George. I want to say the most memorable trips that we had together were at Lake George.
I think so.
Because there was just so much when you were young. There was just so much to do.
I thought you were gonna say I was gonna say Maine, Old Orchard Beach, because that one time I wanted to get pier fries.
Oh, jeez.
And you wouldn't let me live it down,
dude. I to be honest with you, I totally forgot about that until you just brought it back up.
Yeah, we talked about earlier today off the air that I'm very persistent and I do get what I want sometimes. And my friend told me at work about these pier fries at the time. He said, "You gotta have these pier fries. You gotta try these pier fries." So it got in my head that I gotta go there. And we got them, and they were the best fries I ever had in my life.
But I don't even know how, because they were literally just fries. They're
just the best fries ever.
This is so delicious,
so satisfying.
And I'm only and I want to say that the only reason why you said that was because you were so dead set that these were going to be the best things you've had in your life.
No. I thought a big game about getting these pier fries. I'm glad we did. It was a good.
We
shout out to Old Orchard Beach and pier fries on the beach.
Yeah, pier fries and Old Orchard Beach. I will tell another story about your persistence. Remember when, and this is a Lake George story, and you're probably going to know where this is going to go. We go to Lake George, we're with my family, obviously, and Jim, myself, and my sister, and I don't know if she had a friend with her or not. She might have. Not relevant to the story. So we go to Great Escape, which is owned by Six Flags.
Yeah.
We get in there. It's a long day. It's fairly hot. My sister starts to not feel good. Are you remembering this yet?
No.
So my sister starting to not feel good. Now we're waiting in line for the Boomerang Coast to Coaster. And the persistence of Jim comes out, and he goes, my sister's like, I don't feel good. I don't know. Might have to leave after this. And Jim goes, I want to go on the go-karts. And I'm like, I look at Jim and I'm
How old was that? I was younger, right?
We were younger back then. This is our teenage years. We were probably in high school.
Really?
And my sister was probably in college, maybe, close.
No, I think we were younger than that.
I don't know, man, because we were there by ourselves. So we had to have been fairly old enough. Whatever. But he's like, oh, I want to really go on the go-karts and whatever. So now my sister's over here, she looks like she's about to pass out and die. And Jim's like, I know, but come on, we could just go on the go-karts and we'll leave. So now the only problem with just going on the go-karts is that the go-karts are on the other side of the park. So we're towards the front of the park. Go-karts are way in the back. And Jim's like, yeah, I know, man. I know she's not feeling good, but we'll just go and we'll leave right after that. So, like Jim said, Jim got what he wanted, and we went all the way to the end. And my sister afterwards was like, I don't feel good. We really need to go. Whatever, we'll go on the go-karts. But she was pissed. And I was just like, dude, really? Like, all this for the go-karts?
Yeah.
But persistence pays off, as you can see, because he was able to go on the go-karts and get pure fries. So,
I made it all work. It was fun.
so
I felt fine.
I feel good. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of good times, and I would say that Lake George is right up there, just for pure, not necessarily our trips, but Maine for like pure nostalgia for me. My family was going to Maine. It still goes to Maine religiously every summer, and spent a lot of time with my grandparents in Maine, and there's just a lot of good memories there. Jim went to Maine a bunch of times with us. So, I mean, memories of like boogie boarding and this guy hating the sea, and then all of a sudden there's waves. And now the ocean is like his friend because he wants to boogie board all day.
I hate the beach. I've always hated the beach. I made the best of the beach I could make. Because your mom always wanted to do a beach day. And I just wouldn't complain. I'd just do it.
Beach day, like a beach week. My mom wanted to go to the beach every day. And we were all just like...
I made it work.
You did.
We get stung by jellyfishes out there too. Remember that?
We did get stung by a jellyfish, yeah.
Yeah.
But fun times. These are things that's what helps you grow up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Didn't we stay in like the Wagon Wheel?
Wagon Wheel, yep. That's near Old Orchard too.
That was way before Darius Rucker. And,
yeah,
Old Crow Medicine Show band. That was the original. That's the OG.
That's the OG Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, we stayed there. That was a cool campground.
Yeah, my family, we were going to Old Orchard for a while. We were staying at Wild Acres, which is now Sun Resorts, and right near in that same area. Wagon Wheel is like right around the corner from there, so that's good. Yeah, we had a lot of good times. Camping was always fun.
Wasn't the flea markets up there too?
Yeah, there's a few flea markets up there. Shout out to the Goodies Resale YouTube channel if you want to see the flea markets in Maine. That's one of the episodes.
Nice.
Shameless plug right there. But yeah, we went to a bunch of flea markets up there. Used to get a lot of records up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now more so when I go up there, it's a lot of comics.
Yeah.
But,
I remember buying a Rolling Stones like tapestry thing. I found it there in high school, and I still have it. Actually, it's in my son's room.
Nice.
So Rolling Stones.
Yeah, cool. I remember even when Jim wasn't on vacation, I would remember pulling out, Elton John, Billy Joel, all sorts of records for you. Yeah. And being like, hey, dude, I found Elton John's record. And you'd be like, oh, which one? I take a picture. Oh, I already have that. But bring it home. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, good times.
I think I have every single Billy Joel album twice.
Ugh, I'm jealous. I think I have all of them now.
Well, I'll have to give you some back. Because I don't need two of them. So.
So we did a lot of good stuff, a lot of good fun things. And like I said, so there was a time... college hits, you stayed around here, and I went off to college. I mean, I came home pretty much every weekend.
You were still in Mass. You were only in Central Mass.
Yeah, and I was living on campus, and Jim was living his best life back here, and we were, that I want to say that when college hit, that's kind of when we were still close, but we were kind of like, because we were spending so much time away from each other, whereas before we were.
Well, I was in the band in high school. I was, in that rock and roll band with the Martins family, pretty much. Private Kings, Perfect Crime before that, I guess, whatever it was, and that was that time period. And I started working nights at Mass Mutual, doing security and stuff. So I was kind of working full time, going to school full time. It was kind of a hectic time. Any 18-year-old to 22-year-old kind of goes through. You're trying to work as much as you can and support yourself, and then also go to school. So but I still keep up to see you a lot. I spent a lot of time in Anna Maria with you guys in your crew. So staying up there with you. So
yeah, a couple times, 2-3 times.
It was more than that. I think it was been more than that. We played video games in your dorm room.
We did
until like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, with my Xbox 360. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like I was saying, I think that was started the. I remember there was a time where it was probably after college, and then right before you moved to Arizona, and we'll talk about that in a second. But that we like kind of made an effort to like see each other like once a week.
That was after I got back in Arizona.
That was when you moved back?
Yeah. So
Okay.
so before that, we were playing softball, so we saw each other anyway. Every Sunday we played softball for I think 10 years together. But like before, when he came back from college, working at National and Pioneer, I think it was. No, was it Pioneer? Yeah. So we would hang out playing softball, and we'd do stuff. I remember going to your mom's house a lot on Sundays and eating dinner at your family's house. But then, so then obviously I met Amanda, you met Christina, and then I had an opportunity with work to go to Arizona. And so Amanda and I took off to go to Arizona back in 2014. And then, it was kind of interesting. I was only there for 3 years, but in those 3 years, I came back a lot because of things happening with work, or I had a couple deaths in the family back then. My grandmother passed away, and my brother got married. My dad got remarried. So it was a lot going on. You got married, so came back a lot during those 3 years. So anyway, but yeah, we kind of had a little. I think during that time, I didn't see you besides my wedding in those 3 years, unless I came back from came back from Arizona, and we made an effort to kind of hang out. But it was tough. It was like those 3 years are kind of blurred because working. I was out in Arizona trying to do something different, and realizing very quickly that I hated that place. But you committed to something, so you had to live through it. But yeah, it all worked out in the end. You and Mr. G came out and helped me move back home. That was another fun story.
Yeah. So I would say that that was, not to be selfish here, I hated that part. When you left to go to Arizona, I hated that. As a guy who does not have a lot of people that I talk to, to this day, really, a lot of people that I talk to from high school, and I had friends from college and whatever, but it was not easy. I remember
you had Seth Roberts.
Well, he was leaving too. He ended up leaving too.
We're going to Brooklyn.
So I remember having the conversation, and actually to bring Seth up, I remember having the conversation in the car.
Murdered me,
and we basically were just like, dude, what are you doing? And that was, and I feel bad about having the conversation because I think it was a lot of just emotion at the time, where I was just like, I didn't want you to go, but I couldn't stop you from going.
Well, Well, the thing is, I don't know, Amanda, growing up in a military family, she moved around a lot in her childhood, so she's used to kind of picking up and going somewhere different and trying it out. The first initial year was alright. It was fun meeting new people, blah blah. But I had to do it. I had to go see what another space was like, because being a New Englander your whole life, having the Four Seasons, being in Ludlow where everybody knows everybody. I didn't really move too far from Ludlow, in my life, but it was just I wanted to go somewhere different where I didn't know anybody, to see how that felt. And you realize pretty quickly that how lucky we have it in New England, because it is a cool place to live. So. And if it wasn't for, I got into a bad car accident out there on my way to work one day, totaled my car, the lady went the wrong way on the highway, and unfortunately I had to go through therapy and stuff. I got some money from that lawsuit to help me pay to move back home, because if I didn't have that happen to me, I probably wouldn't be able to afford to move back. But my work kind of helped me a little bit, and then when I was back for my dad's wedding, he offered me my grandmother's house in Brentfield, and that's what kind of kick-started me thinking about coming back and how would I do it. Because when I went to Arizona, I had no kids. We found out that we were pregnant with Izzy about maybe 3 months before we left. We saw the paperwork, and 3 months later we found out we're having a kid, and that was kind of a huge. Wasn't a blow. It was a blessing, but it was also just how are we gonna do this in Arizona by ourselves with no parents, no family. We're gonna have to figure this out together, and that's why I feel like it was one of the best things ever moving out to Arizona, because it brought me and my wife a lot closer, because all we had was each other. Now, my in-laws came out a lot, and had some friends come out, but it was but having her and I just be our backbone for each other, really was all we had. Brought us a lot closer, and I think that's why even today, it's my life might be crazy and been doing a lot of things, but we just have this love and trust with each other, because that's all we had out in Arizona. You know, we really counted on each other. But if it wasn't for my dad offering me the house in Brenfield and then figuring out what work and how I could transfer back to Boston, because I had a job in Arizona and Phoenix, and they had an office building in 2 office buildings in Boston, so I got to come back and transfer over there. Everything just worked out perfectly, and I'm so thankful that you and your dad came out, because I could never have done that trip alone or with somebody else, because driving that we had this full how was that 30-foot truck?
I don't know. It was ginormous. I think it was like a 40-foot truck, and then we were towing a car on the back of it.
So I drove that thing with the trailer. No, the trailer we got at Home Depot that morning, I think. But I drove the truck and I parked it on the street in my house, and I almost got into like 6 accidents driving only like 4 to 5 minutes from Home Depot to my house. And I'm like, I can't do this. I remember like trying to figure out how you release the brakes, because it has the air brakes. You know what I'm saying? I never drove anything that big. You should have a license to drive that. And I remember like, how do I do this? And I remember calling the guy in the store. He goes, "Oh, you hit the release button underneath to release the air brakes." And I heard the shh. Yeah. I'm like, oh God, I'm screwed. But I got it there. Yeah. But yeah, so I know Van and I are so thankful that you guys came to Arizona, helped us move. We were totally naive to the whole experience, because when we moved to Arizona, Mass Mutual paid for everything. They paid the movers, the trucks, everything. All we had to do is watch these guys package our stuff up, put it in boxes, and put it in the truck. So we had no idea what it took to move us back. And when you're paying for it and you're on your own dime and you're driving cross country, like Smokey and the Bandit, eastbound and down, that was definitely rough.
Yeah, we were. I remember you calling me and you're like, "Hey, I'm moving back. Would you come out to Arizona to move me back?" And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know if I. He's like, "Well, you drive big trucks at the fire department." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not like, I don't know if I could drive all the way from." You know? So I fly out there with my dad. My dad is like the unsung hero of this trip. Yeah. He drove that truck
all the way.
Like, I want to give myself some credit, but he drove that truck like 95% of the time. I was not driving.
You're just a navigator.
I literally was the guy who sat next to my dad in the truck going, "Okay, it's 7:00, Dad. I'm gonna find a hotel for us to stay at, and then I'll let Jim know, and we'll just go to that hotel." And my dad was like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm just not gonna drive at night." He didn't want to drive at night. Very understandable, because that truck was, I want to say the truck was like 40 feet. The truck was 40 feet, and then you add on the towing of the car.
Do you remember getting lost in New Mexico? And we drove in like Rosa, whatever it was, New Mexico, and it was like a weird neighborhood with all cars on cinder blocks. And then we found the hotel, and the hotel wasn't that bad, but it was like, I remember driving.
Oh yeah, so there was a hotel that I found that we ended up looking at and going to, but it turned out that we had to get off the highway and like go down all these side streets.
Oh my God!
You're talking about the one near the Taco Bell, right? It was like there was like a Taco Bell right next to it.
That was the one of the last ones we stayed at. The first night we were driving, we stayed I felt like in the middle of nowhere.
Well, wasn't the first one the one that had I could have sworn the first one was the one with the gas station across the street.
No.
Whatever.
Anyway, all I'm saying was, it wasn't the best.
No.
It wasn't the best in some of the things. We literally drove across country together, and we spent a lot of time in the car. But again, I'm very thankful that your dad did that for us, because I would never have made it. And my wife flew back with the kids and her father and her stepmom to go check out the house in Brenfield, my grandmother's house. And so they had to clean up the house and get things ready for us while we were driving back. And it was funny, at the end of the trip, when we finally got back, I think we had like a fancy draft or something, and we were pulling up to the house, and I forgot how bad the driveway was, because it was like on this huge incline hill.
Yep.
And it was just like this big truck barely fit the driveway, but it was like 20 feet in the air with the incline, with the back of the truck facing. Yeah. It was awful.
Again, my dad was the unsung hero. Again, yeah. He was able. I mean, my dad for 40 years drove. He has a Class A license. He drove construction equipment and trucks basically his whole life, and he was the guy. Like I said, the guy for this trip. It took us 4 days.
Yeah.
To come back, and from Arizona,
which wasn't bad because we did like 12-hour days.
Yeah, because we weren't stopping. We didn't stop. Like all we did was stop for food and for bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
Like we were just like couldn't even enjoy. Like my dad was all excited about Route 66, and we were just passing these like
horrible rundown
roadside attractions as we're like going by. I'm like, oh look, there's the blue whale. It's right there, Dad. Yeah. And my dad would be like, what is that? And I'm like, it's on the map.
Yeah, it was awful though. What a disappointment on Route 66. I did not keep up on that. But when we got back, I know we were talking about earlier that when I got back from Arizona, I think Monday night we got together to watch football because it was like I got back around Labor Day, so it was right beginning of the football season. So we did that for a while, a couple of years. We definitely made an effort because I had the small kids at the time, and this was probably before Lane and Dawson. It was one of those where you came over and they got their Uncle Goody time, and we watched football together, getting like grinders or salads over. You got from Maria's, remember Maria's Pizza,
Maria's,
in Munson. So that was cool. It was a good time. It was definitely was thankful to be back but it's crazy to think about because that was in 2017 when I came back, and so it's been 7 years. Kind of flew by.
It has flown by. I mean, and like Jim said, a lot of changes, and we made a lot of effort because there was again, for me, there was like, I mean, 3 years doesn't sound like a long time, but that was like, for me, that was like lost time. Yeah. I didn't get time to spend with my best friend, and we talked to each other on the phone, whatever, but like I guess again selfishly I was like a realist about things where I was just like, dude, I'll probably never make it out there. Like I remember saying that to you. I said it to Seth when he moved out to.
Yeah, you came out to Vegas though for the wedding.
I did. Well, I mean, I had to do that. I mean, there's some things that you try not to.
When you showed up after getting hit in the face with a softball, that was one of the funniest.
Oh yeah, it was hilarious.
How about when the lady's like, "I'll fix it" on the picture on dinner, and I got it back and she didn't fix it at all.
Well, no, she did. It was just you just couldn't see the red part of my face. That was the talk of the trip. Yeah, that was great.
Oh, that was so funny.
That and the fantastic hotel you had to stay at, where people partied at the hotel till 5 a.m.
Oh, come on, don't be a square. It's more fun. No, it was rough.
Sleep is more fun.
When they give you earplugs when you check in, saying, "Hey, this is the after party at the after party." We didn't know that, obviously. We just booked it because it looked cool. Yeah. And then, it was definitely interesting. I remember the first night we were there, though. You were there, and you guys went to bed like kind of near after dinner. So I was hanging out with Joey because he surprised me that day, and then with Joe Martins, right. Joe Martins and Joey's friends, whatever, that came out from his college, whatever. And we're at the bar, and I remember like sitting there, and everybody's partying, having a good time, and I remember just nodding off. And then, like, my wife is pregnant at the time. She's due in February, and it was October, so I remember like she was pregnant. She went up and she went to sleep. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to bed. I remember I called it quits pretty early too, and I heard that those guys had a good time and they stayed up until
that was their vibe back then. But
I don't honestly like getting married in Vegas. I went there twice. I went there for getting married and back for a Guns N' Roses concert. I don't think I would go back. I think Vegas is not for me. I'm not a big gambler.
Yeah, no, it's nice to experience once. I mean, there's things outside of Vegas that you can do, and people, take advantage of those things. Whatever, Hoover Dam, things like that. But ultimately, like you said, I'm not the strip and everything is just okay. How many casinos can you look at?
They're all the same.
Yeah, you go in there, it's like slot machines everywhere and tables everywhere.
Do you remember the last day we were there after their wedding? We were at the old strip, the old Vegas.
Yeah, old Vegas. Yep.
I think it was with Christina, and she was like winning on these slot machines, whatever.
Oh yeah,
all the time. And then
nickels. She was winning nickels on the nickel slot machine.
My wife's mother's cousin was there. They came out, I think, from Michigan or something. And he gave me $15 in chips. He goes, "Hey, that's all I got left. Like, why don't you put it on something?" and I never played roulette before, and I hit black 29 because my birthday is April 29th, and my wife's birthday is June 29th, and we hit black 29 at $15, and that's like 32 whatever payouts, 32 whatever. And I remember the pit boss came over, and I'm like, this just paid my wedding. You know what I mean? So that was pretty wild, winning that kind of money on a roulette spin, and I've never played roulette since, or before that, so that was my only time.
Right, there you go. You're a professional, undefeated at roulette.
Yeah. But when I came back from Arizona, I mean, I was working in Boston, so it was tough. I mean, we made the effort to be together on Mondays and stuff, watching football, but it was still tough, like hanging out, because I was out there every day, trying to make a living out there, and that's where the money was at the time. So I was spending a lot of time in Boston until I got the job in Springfield, which was pumped. And that made things a lot easier to hang out and do things.
That was during the lunches every day, or lunches every other day. Yeah. Remember we used to go to like Uno's and
when I was working at Springfield, I used to manage one of the properties where the old Toys R Us was. So I'd hit you up, like, hey, you want to grab lunch, because you have the best schedule in the world. Was it one on, one off, one on, then 4 days off? Right, that's how it works.
Yes, that's
very,
how it
very
works.
Lucky.
5 days off, actually.
5 days. See, I was even off. So you'd be off, and before you had kids, so we'd go out and get lunch. Oh, you brought Lane a couple of times, I think, when he was a baby.
Yeah, when he was younger, probably.
Yeah, you brought him with you, whatever. We go get lunch. We go random places, but the what's that? The dressing I always got, the avocado.
Oh,
ranch.
Avocado Ranch, yeah.
That was the best. It was at Uno's, right?
That was at Uno's,
oh
yeah.
Oh God, I love that stuff. They don't make it anymore, but it was great. Bring that back to Uno's. And then
if you're watching this, Uno's.
Yeah, shut up. But no, it was So we'd do the lunches and stuff. That was pretty cool. But I mean, when you became a dad, and then I obviously had my kids, like, you realize how much time that takes away from everything else, and you have to like kind of like manage like what you can do, what you can't do. So it's like one of those things where, like, even like in the most recent year when you start doing the resale thing, I think I'm your number one customer of all the people you know. I think I buy the most from you. But anyway, you find ways to do things, to get together and hang out.
Goodies Resale appreciates that, just so you know.
Oh yeah. My wife maybe not so much, because
she loves it too.
Yeah. But she does the Star Wars stuff together. So no, it's one of those things where, like, it's like, we find ways to hang out still and do things together. So it's cool. I mean, we were supposed to go to a Bruins Rangers game this year. It didn't happen. We got to figure that out. I know you love going to the cities.
No, I'm all set.
You're gonna go. I'll make you go. I mean, I took Amber and Devon to the Knicks and Celtics game.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do those things like once in a while. It is cool. I know you're not going to go to New York, so I won't even ask you to go to New York with me to Bruins New York Rangers game in New York, but
maybe we'll see.
You won't do it. You hate the cities.
So with that being said, you're a busy guy, and I do appreciate all the time that you do make the effort to hang out with me still, and we'll talk about a few things, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But let's. So do you have anything new going on? I know, obviously, we mentioned earlier the James Paul Band has been going on for how long now?
It's been going on for 5 years, almost 6 years. So yeah, it's kind of coming down to an end with that band. Love the guys in the band. It's just booking shows gets tough when you have 4 different schedules. So I've been looking at another avenue. Maybe keep the James Paul Band going for a little bit longer, but I'm doing this 90s tribute band. We're going to dress 90s, play all the 90s alternative music, like Matchbox 20, Oasis, and that kind of style, Counting Crows. So we're working on that. So Flagpole Sitta, New England's dopest 90s tribute, will be hopefully out in early 2025. I got a great lineup in that band that we're getting together. We still need a keyboard player to complete it, but we're pretty close. Then I started another adventure, which was surprising, but my buddy Joe Lombardi and I started a Lombardi and JP Talk Sports podcast, which is majority talks about the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Yankees, because those are both of our favorite teams as childhood, but we also talk about the NFL, MLB, and kind of just about general sports, but most of it right now has been kind of about the Cowboy season and how horrible it's been, and the Yankees going to the playoffs and clinching the first, clinching the AL East and trying to get that 1 seed. the playoff. But yeah, so it's been, so I got the two bands right now with the podcast. It probably only would be one band. I would think midway through 2025. I don't think I can do two bands full time with being there for the kids, because my kids are playing sports and it's just a lot going on. My job, I'm back out working in Boston, doing two projects. So it's like, you're commuting and stuff. It's just too much going on. But yeah, so my life is very busy, but like I say, like I always try to make time for everybody the best I can. I'm not perfect by any means, but yeah, it's just, I've always been a busy person. I've never been a person that kind of goes slow. I mean, I've always had plans. Before I got married, before I had a long-term relationship with girls, I'd always go out and do things and never was really home per se. So I gotta probably break that a little bit. Now the kids are so busy and everything, but yeah, it's all right. I'm getting by.
Yeah, you're making it work out. So looking forward to the 90s tribute band, and hopefully we'll wish you all the best on your podcast as well. And
Lombardi JB Talk Sports.
There it is. Plug. Lombardi JB Talk Sports. I'll leave a link down in the
no worries.
in the descriptions for you.
Yeah.
But again, Jim, thank you for opening up your house. Thank you for being on the podcast. Hopefully we will have you again.
Sure.
And
we'll up to.
You'll have a round 2. And again, thank you everybody for listening today, episode 3 on the Gabbin' with Goody podcast.